Hello, welcome to the review of the 5th match played in the National Dutch Online Go Competition 2020. This time we've got the match played between Friederichs and Joost. Here we go! On the start we've got a little bit unusual situation. White decided to play Tenuki. Normally, while having this shape, White makes a free space extension, for example this way or this way, so that White has two stones. Free space extension is the optimal one in many cases. White, however, decided to play Tenuki, and now Black played something there on the right side, so that White will not be able to make the optimal extension from these stones. Normally, when there is a wall, two stones, the optimal extension is free space jump. In this case, playing free space jump is not good because Black is able to play from any side, and now White doesn't seem well with this attachment. So maybe White would be interested in playing like this. This is how the game went on. And after this move, what's going on? White is a little bit over-concentrated. This is not the optimal extension from White's wall. So while playing this move, in my opinion, Black should be quite satisfied already. So instead of this move, now, I would recommend to play some Tenuki for White. White can play, for example, in this spot to have some normal approach to defend the corner. White is also able, for example, to play here the Sansan, or any other move basically on the board. But I would not care much about this shape here on the right side that much. Because if White plays Tenuki, let's say White plays like this, later if Black decides to attack these stones, White is all the time able to play some jump, running into the center, and this way White is not over-concentrated, and if White makes from his shape some kind of a stronger shape, then this black stone, what Black played, it might be a little bit in not so interesting spot, because Black makes this exchange, and now when White gets stronger, Black's stone is placed close to the strong group. So maybe it's also not the very interesting place for Black. Of course, Black can make this exchange because like this White is left without a base. But it's not really 100% good exchange for Black, and White also doesn't need to worry that much about playing there. Also, when White gets the stone in the center, White is able, for example, to focus more on this bottom, on this side. Maybe White will be able to block somehow that side. While having this stone, maybe White will be able to focus a little bit more on this, what's going on in the center, so it's some help maybe for attacking some groups and so on. It's not like this move is just placed and doesn't do anything. It's also some help for White. But in the game, White decided to play here, so White gets this a little bit more over-concentrated shape, and Black defended here. Okay, here we've got a few more moves. In this spot, White played some move which, in my opinion, could be in some different place. Here, when White has Hoshi, White has already some stone on one side, so that it's possible to use this stone somehow, but it doesn't directly defend the corner. This move here in this position. So after this move, if it's Black's turn, Black is able to get Sansan, Black is able to get there, but White might be able to get some wall with his stones. Even if White plays like this, Black plays here, White has some wall, and White has some extension from this wall. White can also play basically any other move like this or like this. Basically, White will have a wall, and White will have some extension from this wall. But when White adds a move here from the other side, now the Sansan starts to be more interesting for Black. Because after playing in this spot, White needs to choose which side will he want to take. So that if White decides to choose this side, now White will get a wall from one side, and he will have a good extension from this wall. But the other stone, let's say we make this kind of shape, now the other stone is placed in a place which doesn't do anything. It would be much more interesting for White to have this stone in many other places on the board. So that now this stone is in not so good position. If White decides to play from the other side, we have basically the similar stuff, but now this stone is in not so good position. So in order not to have this kind of situation, I would recommend to protect the corner. For example, this way. Now it's much more difficult for Black to do any problems for White in the corner, and White just takes points. In the actual game, Black didn't enter Sansan. Black decided to play Tenuki. So what's going on? Black decided to take some Moyo, some influence. In many cases, this move would be a very good move. However, now, if we are looking on this, what's going on there, white has here some shape which is over-concentrated. While having over-concentrated shapes, many times it's good to make them even more over-concentrated than they are at this moment. So that, where to play for black? In my opinion, it's possible to lean on this stone here, like this, and if white answers, black already got stronger. White got also stronger, but the strength for white was not important at all because white was already over-concentrated. And like this, when black got a little bit stronger, black has some kind of help, some stronger wall. So later, if black decides to play Tanuki, it's more difficult for white to enter here the center with his own group. So this is some profit, in my opinion, for black. If white decides to play Hane, yeah, it's not possible to cut here for black, so white might think about this one. But then when black comes back, and if white decides to play some Tanuki, maybe white would play, for example, this way, black is able to do some problems for white's group. It's possible to play here from the top, and later what to do. If white just plays this way, black is able to cut, white's shape is already quite horrible, so maybe instead of playing this move, white would be more interested in maybe connecting this shape. But after this connection, black is already able to attack white's group. After playing this move, white doesn't have two eyes here in this area. White is not really able to make two eyes in that area, so that black can attack this group. And while attacking groups, we can get many profits, what we don't see in this moment. White will need to escape with that group. Black can play basically many centers around, so black should be satisfied with the situation. So normally, after playing like this, I think still white would add there one more move, and like this black gets center. So what happened? Black got a little bit stronger, white got a little bit stronger. For white, the strength didn't matter at all because he had over-concentrated group, and for black, this power, it's some help because black was not that over-concentrated, right? So when black got here this help, this extra 2 stones, I think it could help black in making here, for example, some territory on the top. But in the game, it went this way. Now white entered here the top. And if looking on black's shape, black has quite many stones around. Like here some stones, here some stones. Basically, black is pretty strong now around in that shape. So when black decided to play this way, white is able to enter the corner. White is able to play there something so that maybe black will not be able to really use these strong stones around. So in this case, it would be good to attack somehow this stone. How to attack? In my opinion, it's the best way to attack this stone is to prevent white from entering the corner in center. For example, black can make this exchange. And now when white is already not able to enter the corner with these stones, black is already able to play like this. Like, of course, there are some weaknesses in this corner. Maybe white, while playing there, would be able somehow to make their life to survive. But white is not able to connect any move there in the corner with these 2 stones here in this side. So that even if somehow white would survive in the corner, still the other 2 stones would be weak, actually even weaker. Basically, maybe even dead. So now white, not to die with these stones, white needs to run away, and black gets this possibility to use these strong stones around. For example, this stone, for example, this stone. Black can use these stones while attacking white stones. So black should be quite happy with this situation. But in the game, black decided to play like this. So white has the opened corner. White decided instead of this move to jump, however, in the center. And later, after this jump, black defended the corner. Like, I would play here anyway, but black finished in gote, so it's not really very bad for white, because black played their last move, and white all the time is able to lean on some stones. So, okay, white decided to play this way. Later, black played here, and now it's a very important moment of the game. How to make a good shape. Like, normally making a good shape, possible to play, for example, something like this. White has a good shape. Later, if black tries to play something here so that maybe there are some cutting points in white shape, white is able to make this exchange. And if looking on the surrounding stones, it's again possible to lean on opponent, possible to play, for example, like this, like this. White doesn't have any weakness, so that it's possible to cut these stones, so that white doesn't really need to worry at all about his own stones. Like, in order to cut, he needs to worry about all the group, of course, that maybe all this full group might be attacked, but it's not possible to cut these stones at least. So after this move, yeah, not possible to cut. But white decided to play from this side. So now what's going on? When black makes this exchange and connects, like white is also connected with everything, but now white doesn't go outside with these stones. Before, here in the previous situation, white had here a stone, so while white center, it was possible to escape quite easily. In this case, black has here some stones. White has actually even an empty triangle here in this spot, a bad shape. So it starts to be much more difficult for white to escape with this group. So I would really recommend black to spoil white's shape while making this Atari. If white doesn't play here this connection, white can also decide maybe to play here on the top, but while getting this stone, playing this Ponuki, black should be really feeling quite well with this shape. Black is very strong. Black is also able to cut here the stone, so black is able to get many points in the center already. And all the time, these white stones on the top are not 100% alive. Later, black decided to play here something on the right side. We've got a shape like this, and white made this move. I don't really understand why. Why making this exchange? White played here, black played this bamboo joint. So what was white's profit? Black got stronger outside. Black has here already two stones, two effective stones, because it's like stones which are the furthest stones are the effective stones. So having one more stone, effective stone, normally it's quite interesting to have, so that later black may be able, for example, to play here this Hane, so it's possible to attack these free stones and have an easier way to escape with the stones into the center. And what does white get after this exchange? Is it possible to make two eyes on the right side? Not possible. Maximum one eye. So white all the time has a group which needs to run away, but black goes stronger. So instead of making this exchange, I would recommend just to jump somewhere inside the center, like this, and move basically just to escape with that group without making this exchange. Now black has a weaker group, so for example, if white decides to play like this and black plays Tenuki, white is already able to make some more annoying moves against this black's group. It's possible to attack this group much easier than if black had an extra stone in this spot. So after this move, black played here, and now white played here some attachment. How to escape with groups? Normally, if it's not possible to cut, it would be good to be further than opponent. In some cases, it's good to play attachments while we are really in need of making eyes. If white needs to make eyes, white might think about playing like this attachment, so that it will be really possible to make these eyes. So then these attachments are good. But if white does need to make two eyes, if it's possible just to play some light move and go into the center like slowly without this need of making eye in this very moment, it's possible to play a little bit further. While making eyes, black gets stronger. Black gets a stronger shape. So that when black plays here, black gets some extra wall. So that even though white's group is alive, I think black should be satisfied because black gets these extra stones in the center and white only makes life. And instead of this move, it's possible for white, for example, to play something like this. And actually, which move to choose? What is better? Like this, like this, like this, like this? Basically, there are many possibilities for white. How to think about this? I would recommend to check, is it possible to cut this shape or no? Like trying to find move which goes further, and is it possible to cut this shape or no? If white plays like this, is it possible to cut? Black cannot really cut, like white is already able to capture here this stone, and after this one still white can do many problems for black, so it doesn't really work well for black. Here white can make basically any exchange, this first and later cut, or just cut and later play there. White is able to make some problems for black. So this cutting doesn't really work for black. So this is one choice for white. The other choice would be, for example, to play this two-space jump. Is it possible to cut? It will be also quite difficult. Later white can play like this. Even though black cuts, white is able to enter into the center, so white doesn't need to worry. White is also able to make here some exchanges, like these moves will be center. White is also able to play like this. Basically, white has many options. So it would be almost not possible to cut, or I would even consider not possible to cut, because after cutting, black gets not so good shape. So this is also uncuttable move in this case. And here, what to look on? Why playing this two-space jump? Because black is here some stones. Because of these stones, I would recommend to play in a way that we are in some kind of a race. Like now, if white plays like this, white is ahead a little bit, one step ahead of these stones. So white is ahead in this race. White controls this what's going on there. And if playing here one space jump like this or like this, now it's like even, but it's black's turn. So black will be like this one who controls the situation in the center. So that if it's not possible to cut, if there are no worries about getting cut and like having two groups to defend, I would recommend to play two space jump. One option is to play like this, other option is to play like this. What's the difference between this move and this move? Like if white plays like this, white goes more into the center, so maybe this one would look like the more interesting move. If white plays here, white goes more on the bottom, but after this move, it will be like quite hard to get here many points to really block. White already has some stone which is quite close. It will be difficult to use it quite well. So maybe this one would be the more interesting move. From this point of view, yes, but there is some other point of view. Leaning on opponent. If white has a stone like closer to opponent's stones, opponent might use this stone against white in this case. When white plays like this, black is able to get some exchanges to get a stronger group. In center, for example, black can play like this. Looks stupid, but after this exchange, black is able to get own group stronger, and later, while already being able to escape with these own stones in quite easy way, black is able, for example, to focus on attacking here this group. So black doesn't need to worry that white will kill here these stones. Black is able to attack some other group. So this is some possibility for black, that black can make some center moves to be able to escape in an easier way. Black doesn't need to play there in this very moment. Black can play there a little bit later, but black has this possibility on leaning on opponent. When white plays here below, black doesn't really have this opportunity, because how to play? Black can play like this, but it's not so efficient as earlier, because earlier black had this stone closer to his own stones. Now if black decides to play this way, white is able to anyway go somehow on the top. Still black cannot really cut white's shape. After playing like this, white can play here. It's very difficult for black to cut this shape, and if black plays this way, like here white can connect like this, but white can have even more thing. White is able even to connect this way. So later there are some problems with cut, and if black connects, white is able to even connect everything perfectly this way. So that white doesn't really need to be afraid that much of black leaning on white. So that, this is this profit of this move. But when white plays here, white has easier way to enter the center. So it depends on the player, which style he would choose to play. There are some pros and cons of both moves. Yeah, but white decided to play this way. So now black is this one who is ahead in that case. And here I didn't really understand why I decided to play this move. But anyway, it's not possible to cut here. Like if black cuts, white is able to capture the stone anyway. So maybe it's not necessary to play there. If looking on white's group, white has here one eye in center. Basically here white has one eye. And later to survive, white will need to make one eye in this area, in case black would cut somehow white. Is it possible? In my opinion, it should be no problem for white to make here second eye. So if it's not necessary to make this group alive, I would recommend just to play Tenuki for white. Possible to play anywhere on the board. No need to focus on playing anywhere here, because after this move, where are points? What does white attack? White doesn't attack anything, and white doesn't almost take any points. White grabs a little bit more here, this area, but still even after this move, black is able to play here this Keima, so that white basically doesn't take points. So this move I would recommend just to play somewhere else. If white would be really very much afraid of this group, also maybe it would be possible to connect with this stone while keeping all the time center, because after this move if black plays here, maybe white can all the time keep center. But anyway, the most important in this case, in my opinion, it would be to play Tenuki, just not to care about this group because it is alive. Then black started to attack here these 3 stones and also the other group, so white tried to protect that group. Looks good. Yeah, black played here and white continues this escape. Later here there is also some Agi in this position for black. Here we've got a similar situation. Again, white can lean on opponent. If black decides to play like this, it's more difficult to do this. Because like this, when white plays here, maybe black is able to get center. And while making this exchange, when black adds a move, white will not add a move here. So that if black decides to play Tenuki, later there is some small Agi in black's shape. White can do there some problems, like here it's possible, for example, to play this way. So there might be some small problems later for black. So again, I would recommend to play like this. It's more difficult to lean on opponent in this case. Later black decided to play here. Again, about if looking on this shape, white has a stone here, white has a stone here. According to this, what I spoke earlier, it would be more interesting, in my opinion, to enter the corner for black. Yeah, here black cannot really have a good extension from these stones. Like black decided to play here on the second line. If black plays like this all the time, it's not a perfect extension from 2 stones. So that I would recommend anyway to enter this corner for black. Here there were some moves in the corner. I think white started to be quite strong around. I think it's possible to play this move and fight. Like the weakness of this move, like, is that black does need to play in this spot, because like this, white is able to connect here these 3 stones. It's quite big, but black is able to cut in this area, so that if white was not strong around, maybe it would be risky because black can cut, so black can also do some problems. But now when white got already some extra stones, like for example here in this spot, this is a little bit stronger, I think white can already start this like possibility, play this Hana and start this possibility of black making this fight. I think it would be already possible for white. Here this group has 1 eye, and I think it should be possible to make here another eye if black decides to play anything here on the top. Yeah, so I think white can just play like this and later escape with this group, and I think this group is going to be alive anyway. Here black played this move. I don't really understand. I think it's a bit too much. I think white is able to cut actually. Like if white cuts, what can black do? Like black can connect like this, but then black doesn't really destroy points. White all the time is connected here. If black plays this way, white is all the time able to play in this place. Still, it's not that easy for black to try to connect. Like this, white is all the time able to cut. And here about this group, all the time here there is 1 eye, just necessary to make here 1 more eye, and white is alive. So I think this move what black played is a little bit too much in this case, and white is able to cut. In the game, white protected this way, and then played this bamboo joint. All the time, I feel like it's not necessary to play here for white. All the time, like, is it really necessary to play there? Here there is 1 eye, and here it's possible to make second eye. If white plays Tenuki and later black decides to play like this, white all the time can play in this spot, so that white is alive. White can also even play like this. White is alive. So this, again, in my opinion, not so necessary. And then black decided to play some exchange, but what's going on around? White has quite solid shapes, right? White has here these stones, quite strong. White has here these stones. On the first view, maybe this group looks like a group which is running away from there, but if later thinking deeper, White already has one eye here and it has a lot of space to make second eye, so this group is not that weak. I think it's also it might be considered as a strong group in this case. So when White has strong groups around and Black decided to play it like move like this, what to do? First, counting points. In my opinion, Black is a little bit ahead because after capturing these 3 stones, it's quite a lot. Also, White played here a little bit slow in some positions, so that I think Black has a little bit more territory than White. So that if White is not really winning much, White doesn't need to defend everything like clearly. I think it's possible to fight. How to fight? Again, Buch leaning on opponent. So for example, it's possible again to play here on the top in this spot. So White is leaning on that stone. White uses weaknesses of this stone that is not completely connected with the other stones. So that after playing here, if Black decides to play, for example, like this, White is already able to play from the top and kill basically this stone what Black decided to put in this spot. So like this, White tries to fight. White simply tries to fight. White tries to use these weaknesses, White tries to use his strong groups and fight. If White had weak groups around, maybe Black would be interested in playing something like this. Also in this spot, basically Black does need to play here this extension. Black can play a little bit more aggressive, Black can play like this. But even after this White's extension, all the time White keeps a lot of pressing on this stone, so that if Black tries to fight, I think White can just jump. In my opinion, it will be very hard for Black to survive with these 2 stones. I think it should be dead, basically these 2 stones. So I think Black played a little bit too deep and White can make use of it. But in the actual game, White just protected himself, so Black connected everything, and now I think Black has quite nice position in this game. But White decided to play here. Okay, White fights, looks interesting. And now Black made this exchange. I don't really understand why. Because now Black lost a stone and White gets an opportunity to cut. Here, this exchange, I don't know. I think maybe it's some kind of misclick, or I don't know what happened. Why making this exchange? Yeah, but here earlier actually, if looking on this, what happened, White made this exchange. It looks like White wants to keep everything connected, but on the other hand, when White continues playing like this, Black can do some problems on these 2 stones. And actually, if Black has some extra centers around, this group starts to seem dangerous for White. So if this group is going to be dangerous, maybe it's not necessary to make this exchange. Maybe it's possible just to play here for White. If Black decides to play like this, White can capture. White has Ponuki. It's also not so bad for White, isn't it? And it's still actually in center. I think Black needs to add a move, because if Black doesn't add a move, later it's possible again to play like this for White and capturing here these 2 stones. So that if Black is going to come back, White has stronger shape. White keeps center, so I think it might be not so bad for White. Yeah, but White made this exchange and now Black is able to play here in this spot. This group is not so big. This group is bigger. Here there are more points. If counting stones, it might be a little bit similar, but Black has here a lot of area where no stones, and it will be all points. So I think this is the bigger area to really get points. And maybe also in some case, if really looking deeper, it might be even possible for Black to really escape with this group in the center. There are still quite many weaknesses of White's group, so it's not really 100% dead yet, these stones. But we got this exchange, and later something like this, and Black played here. This move, I think Black should play from this side and try to kill here White on the top. Later also, if looking, this one is center for Black. If trying to make life with the center, like if White plays something there, later Black is able to make this move in center, because if White doesn't answer, Black is able to connect and later capture this group. So, and if White plays here, Black is able to connect as well. So while having this move cente in this spot, it's also some profit for black, some possibility. So I think it's possible to play here on the top and cut that group. Here there was like black decided to play like this. So this move threatens that maybe it will be possible to cut. But white needs to play here. This is like a must be, this move. After this move, when black decides to cut, white is all the time able to connect in center. Like this is basically center for white. And like this, white all the time might do many problems against black. For example, white can play something like this. And now there are a lot of edge here in this spot. Basically, black needs to play something there so that white will not kill anything and make this group alive. So that if black plays anything in that area, white is already able, in my opinion, to kill here these stones below. And if black plays something here in this shape to really make sure this group is alive, white can play basically anything in that area, and I think black is going to have quite many problems. It's possible to play, for example, like this, but basically there are many other moves for white to play and to kill something there kill something there from black. So this is like a must be, in my opinion, this move. After this connection, I think it's already very difficult for white to win this game, because white needs to put a lot of focus on making this group alive, and it's really difficult. Okay, so here white tried to survive with that group, and later it went something like this, and now what is this shape? If black plays tenuki, what's going on? If black plays tenuki, here we've got 1000 year ko. So that if white wants to win this ko, white will need to play here quite many times. Like one time capturing, but also later next time here, later next time here, but after every move basically black has a chance to capture this ko. And later next time here. So white needs to spend really quite many moves to capture that group. In the actual game, black decided to play like this. But now, white to kill black's group needs less moves. Because like this, when white plays here, later white plays here, and later white already captures. Before, black here had 4 stones, tenuki, now only 2. What happened? Black added a move in this spot, and if white wanted to kill black, white would need to play there. So that if we are looking on the shape, what's going on, playing here, in my opinion, it's worse than pass. It's better just to pass, not to play anywhere, than playing in this spot. Because if black doesn't play there, white plans to kill all this group, white needs to play there many times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if black plays like this, white doesn't need to play so many times in that area. And of course, in this case, if black wants to kill everything, it's possible just to connect. Simply connect. It's not seki. Here, this shape looks like it's seki, but this group is dead. So when this group is dead, black, after playing all these moves there, will kill this group. So after killing this group, black will be connected. So this group will be connected with the other stones, so then these stones are automatically dead. So like this, black kills all. It's all blacks. All is dead. All these white 2 groups are dead in that area. So it's possible just to connect, and it's game over, basically, because black killed quite a lot. So yeah, it's possible really just to connect, and black kills everything. After playing like this, it started to be more complicated for black. It's like 2-step ko, but it's still some kind of a ko. So after playing here, white took a ko thread, and later white made this group alive. White died with the other group, but the group is alive. Black in a ko thread killed the other group, but still this ko was some small profit for white, in my opinion, because this group looked quite big. Okay, later in the game, like still black is ahead, black is winning in this game. Yeah, but I think unnecessarily black complicated this game. It's just possible to connect and make it simple. Here later we've got a few more moves. Let's say it's some endgame. After this move, there are some weaknesses in white's shape. This shape is quite popular. This, and this. These 4 stones. It's quite popular shape in my opinion. And later this is also quite popular move for black. So I think maybe it's like good to say something about this. After black plays here, there are some weaknesses in white shape. It's possible to do there some problems while cutting. So that if we're looking on the game, like this, black cut white, and later it was possible to destroy a little bit from white's territory. Yeah, in my opinion, after playing this move, for white it's possible just to play to make the corner safe. White has quite many points there in the corner, it's a lot. If black wants to take these points in the center, black needs to add one more move there. And also black so far doesn't take any points. Black only destroys white's territory, and black doesn't get any territory for himself so far. So I think this center here is not so big, and here this corner is bigger. If white wants to really keep everything connected, white can also decide to play like this. It's also like quite popular move. Just in this case, I think it might be possible to do there some problems for black, like problems for white, sorry, in the corner. So when white decides to play like this, black can cut, and now when black has some stones around, it's difficult for white to escape. And if white connects, black is able to get also some nice endgame in that area. So I think it would be more interesting for white to block the corner this way. Yeah, later we've got here this shape. I think for black it's also possible just to cut, maybe even in this spot. No need to make any exchanges there, because still white will play anyway the same way. Like this, after these exchanges, white gets a little bit more points in this area. Here in this position, I think it's possible for black to even extend once more. I think white cannot do anything, and black kills white. Black has many liberties around after playing. What can white do to make many liberties? Maybe white would like to do some seki. But even if playing like this, even if black plays this way, black kills white anyway. So it's possible to play this way and take more points. In the actual game, black decided to play like this and now played very nice Tesuji. It's possible to play here and now like this, so white destroyed some points from black. So here we've got this shape. Yeah, a little bit later in the end game, here white decided to connect. But it's possible to make some more interesting endgame move there. For example, instead of this connection, it's possible to play like this. Why playing there? Because making ko, on any ko, like here on the top, white doesn't lose much, only a few points. But if black loses this ko, black loses more, black loses many points around. This is one thing. Next thing, while adding a move in this spot, later white has an extra endgame here to go on this side. When white only connects, now it's more difficult to go on this side. When white plays like this, it's easier. So after this, one thing is possibility to play this ko. I think black will capture, later white will find some ko threats, but later black will connect, and white will also be able to make here some another endgame exchanges in center. Okay, so white connected. Later there were some more moves in the endgame. Here it's quite big to come back, and further on black captured those stones. But white here decided to play here, and then white connected. But instead of this connection, again, it's possible to make some another interesting endgame move. It's possible to play like this. What's going on? It looks strange. But here we've got all the time ko. So most likely it will finish like this. Black will capture the ko, white will find some ko threats, white will capture. White doesn't have basically just 1 point, 2 points to lose, almost nothing. And black can lose here all the corners. So most likely black will connect like this. But after having a move in this spot, it's possible for white also to get another possibility of getting some points. It's possible to play like this, and actually it's next territory to get, to destroy basically, in center for white. So that this move would be, in my opinion, a little bit more interesting. White can also think about even some other moves like this. It's even more crazy, because later if black plays in this spot, it's anyway possible to play here this ko. But this might look like a little bit too much. Also, while playing this move, black gets here a little bit more territory than earlier. However, white can try. White is losing this game. I think white can try some crazy moves like this. And if black answers, it's possible for white, like for example, to connect, and later after black plays here, white is able to connect in this spot anyway. But this looks like it's enough, and later having possibility to play here on the first line. Yeah, later white played here endgame, and black protected like this. Like black is winning, black can play safe. But if looking on what's going on in that space, actually it's possible even to play like this for black. Basically, black doesn't need to play even there, I think. But if protecting like this to be again on the safe side, black can protect like this. And now if white tries to play here, what's possible to do? White can play here, but black anyway captures these stones. So while having this stone in this spot, black simply gets more points. So I would recommend just to play like this. Black is able to get more points. And even locally, if looking on this shape, it's possible to even connect like this, so that black has point in this spot. If black played like this, white plays this exchange, black doesn't have point in this spot, in this N2. Like this, if black just connects like this, black already does. Later, black decided to play, however, some Ko. Yeah, there were some more exchanges, and after this, white resigned. Okay, so black won the game. Okay, thank you for your attention. Thank you for watching. If you are interested in some Go lessons, in studying Go, I encourage you to enter polgote.com. You can register for my online Go school. You can also take some individual lessons. I also offer some Go equipment, Go books written by me. I wrote 9 Go books. All are available also in English and for other languages. Yeah, so thank you.